The honeybees are out. They're gonna get themselves some coffee. There's quite a few of them floating around all over, sharing coffee with a honeybee. What is up, guys? Patreon, my patrons. This one's staying on Patreon. Kind of a spring day. Kinley's in the back starting to fire that little pyro. Just kidding. We just got that fire going. Trying to take off. Everything out here is still pretty dang wet, as you guys can see. Right there, a bunch of snow on that side. Kind of dried over on this side, so we're trying to burn down a lot of the crummy extra wood, just stuff that's cut down, clearing stuff out, making the property look nice. You know, as things fall, you rake it up, make it look cool. But anyway, so we're working on a new project today, guys. Today is the first day of this project, and it's coming off of a lot of conversation between Shelby and I of really taking the time to look at what we're doing out here on the homestead and trying to figure out how self-sustainable we can be this year. So we're working on projects that build our self-sustainability of the farm. So taking care of the animals, food, everything that we need to do where we might rely on someone outside to help us out, we're figuring out how to do it here. So right now I am working on the beginning stages of just designing, and then hopefully we can even start building a smokehouse. We're gonna be working on a smokehouse today. So I've got a couple things to show you guys. One is where all the dreams are made of, and that means a notepad and pen. Everything I have ever done gets put onto a notepad, paper, and then I begin building, and that's what I've always done, which is great. I don't turn it into this big long process of thinking it out and overbuilding it and rebuilding it and underbuilding it and all that stuff. I put it on here. And I go to work, and it's always just a guideline too. I will change things in the process, and you know, Shelby will change things in the process as well. So this is kind of just our stepping stone, our starting point, and then it goes from there. But today we're doing a smokehouse, and it's going to be what we're working on for a while here on Patreon. We probably won't even show it on YouTube until it's done and finished with, because it is a building project. We don't need the county trying to stick their nose into it, thinking that we owe them something for it, and then trying to shut us down mid-go. We're going to make sure it's built and being used by our family before anyone else sees it. So here's one thing I want to show you guys really quick. This is a book that I am using. It is the complete book of butchering, smoking, curing, and sausage making. How to harvest your livestock and wild game. This is a book that I got years ago. You can actually see it's sun-dyed from sitting in my window. That different coloring is the sun dye in it. But it was sitting in the window for like 2 years, I think. I like to get books, stack them up, and then I come back to them and use them when I need them. One thing that we like to do is make sure that we have hard copies of information versus relying on your phone or technology holding that information, because it could potentially go away, and that you could lose your phone, right? And I had a bunch of notes in there, ruined my phone, whatever. So we have this to always go back to and check out. So I was going through here today to see if they had any designs of a smokehouse, because in my head I had an idea of what I wanted to do. And then I came in here and looked and realized that it's probably best that I came in here and looked. And so I've got some different designs here. I've got some different smoking options in here, but I wanted to build a full smoke house. So in this book, they've got a couple different designs of smoke houses, and basically, I mean, the schematics to doing it. At least for me, that's all I need to be able to build something to the same whatever as the picture. That's all I need. So there's the idea. We'll put it to work. One thing I was wanting to do was keep it mobile. There's a lot of honeybees out right now. Was keep it mobile. I'd like to be able to pick it up and maybe take it to a buddy's house if they need it. So we're gonna build it to where it can fit onto a trailer. We're also going to build it on skids, log skids, so that we can grab it, pull it, and take it. That way, if we do wind up selling the farm, we can take it with us. I don't want to build anything permanent here that's going to stay here if we wind up leaving. So as you can see on these ones are permanently built. That one's looks like it's on like concrete stand, I believe is the way they have that set up. Yeah, concrete footing. They've got it on concrete. This one's on concrete as well. So what we're going to be doing is building it on skids. So we are going to change it up a little bit from this book, but we're going to use this principle. So in my mind, I have seen smokehouses where, you know, they've just put a barrel in the middle of the smokehouse. Hey, Kens, will you stay back? They put a barrel in the middle of the smokehouse, created the fire, and then it's right there. Upon doing research, that will probably cook the meat too much or warm it up too much inside the smokehouse. We're basically building a cool smokehouse. We're going to be building an oven essentially that stays under 200 degrees. So it's not cooking the meat, we're curing and smoking the meat. So a couple of issues with this, let's go for a walk. A couple of issues with this is going to be the location. We need to find a location on the property that is going to be a good location for this. Now, if we're smoking here all the time, that means that the majority of the smoke is going to come to the north. It's going to blow to the north. So we don't want to necessarily put it somewhere where the smoke is maybe going to bother us, you know, or I don't know. I don't even know how it would. It would just smell good no matter where we're at. But as you saw in the picture, we're going to need some sort of a sloped area. So I got to looking out here thinking, okay, well, where's like a sloped area? It's pretty flat out here. So we might have to wind up building a bit of a mound because the way they had it is they had the fire separate, blowing up a tube up into the bottom of the smokehouse. So we're gonna have to find some real estate out here where we want to build this thing, and then also on top of that where we can access it with the trailer to be able to get in, grab it, attach to it, pull it up onto the trailer, and then take it with us. Since we have put the cabin build on hold due to the fact that we are going to be listing the property and leaving, going to a little bit more freer of an area where the local government doesn't operate by communist rules and think they own and dictate your private land, we're going to go ahead and just use these logs. So these are the logs that have been dry now for over a year that we were going to use on the cabin build. I've got some staged over here, and I've got some staged over there as well, and then right behind you I've got some staged. I also have a bunch staged down the driveway, so I have a lot of logs to do. So we are probably going to hand-hewn all of this because I want to, versus doing the mill. And the mill would only cut me 8-foot logs. The mill would be a lot faster. But we're going to probably not do the mill because it would only cut me 8-foot logs. And I think I'm going to build it 8x10 because that'll fit on the trailer. And then that gives me a little bit more room because our goal is to be able to hang an entire side of beef in there. Not Lila, but possibly the first steer we have on this property, or if we buy more cows while on this property, I'll be able to hang possibly an entire pork, an entire beef. We might throw a goat in the mix as well. And so I want to make sure that if we do wind up hanging just a ton of meat in there, we've got plenty of room and I don't build it and then come back and be like, should have built it bigger. And it looks like these ones are like 6 foot by 8 foot in the book. And so we're just going to build it a little bit bigger. So I think we're going to go 8 foot by 10 foot, which means we got to hand hewn some beams because the mill only does 8 footers. So my biggest issue here is going to be finding the right location on our property that we want to put it to where it's not in our way and it works for future development and it works for getting it out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the time to sketch it up, get an idea of what I want design-wise, which is going to be easy. It's going to be 8 by 10. I have an idea of doing just a slant roof high on one side to the other. I think that would be the easiest instead of putting a pitch right in the center. and then we have to vent it. So I think if I put a high point in the roof, vent it on that front, that'll allow us to control the smoke, which allows us to control the temperature. So we are going to be adding a temperature gauge to this thing, as well as a smoking vent or as a control vent. So this thing's going to develop, guys. You guys are going to watch it. We're going to be bombarded by bees the entire time, which is very cool. But we're going to put it together here on Patreon. It should be exciting for you guys to watch. Hopefully you enjoy watching it. It's going to be a lot of hard work hand hewing this thing, but we're going to tie in the hand hewing of beams and logs as well on top of the build of this. Lots of hand tools. And then hopefully you guys can take something away from this and you feel like it's worth it to be on Patreon. That is my goal. So we're going to make these videos fun, informative, and then by the end of it, we're going to go into an entire new lifestyle of smoking and curing our own meats, self-sustainability on the farm, on the homestead, and that is really going to be the key to excel out here and to really remove yourself from the grid, is by just doing everything self-contained. All right, guys, I am going to get to work drawing this thing up, and then I am going to go for a little walk with the wifey, figure out where we're going to put this thing, and then probably this evening or tomorrow morning we're going to start chopping up logs, creating our foundation, and building this thing.